Hi everyone and welcome along to another course vlog here from Freshwater Bay. Going to be doing things a little bit different in this video, both in terms of some of the editing but also in terms of where we're starting, because you'll notice that this is not hole 1 and we are on the 8th tee, and there's a good reason for that we'll get to in a moment. But first of all, just thought I'd add in some flyovers here so that you can actually see the course. It's very difficult, I appreciate, for you to understand the whole layout when you've not played this particular course before, and although obviously it's not drone footage, at least it gives you a good idea of how the hole is made up. So we're starting here on hole 8, which is a par 4, just over 400 yards. And as you can tell, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball because we're already 9 over heading here. And this video is basically brought to you as something that I now use myself as a tool to encourage myself not to give up on rounds. Because as you're going to see, anything can change at any point in a round if you're just happy to get out there and stop playing golf swing and play some golf. Right, so here we go. We are just up by the marker post, which leaves us 215 left of the green. I've got 7 wood in hand from here, which is about the right number for me for a 7 wood, somewhere around 200 to 220 depending on strike, etc., and what the wind direction. Wind's a little bit with us, but to be fair, there's barely a breath of wind on this particular day at this particular moment. And as you're going to see in a moment, it's actually pin high. That's why I've cut that particular video in, just to show you. Now, one of the reasons that I think I was struggling predominantly through those first 7 holes is the fact that on this day the greenkeepers have taken the opportunity to put fertiliser on the greens. Now, that obviously has an impact on the way that the ball rolls, and I was finding that essentially it was sort of snowballing, so the putts were losing pace, and I was struggling to get the ball to the hole on many occasions. But there we go, first signs of life really. A little bit adrift with the birdie putt, but we do manage to get ourselves a par, first one on the card, and that is a glimpse perhaps of where this round might head. So next out we are heading on to hole 9. It's another par 4, but this one a shorter one at 328 yards. So this is just part of my pre-shot routine, not showing all of it there, but essentially just lining up ahead of hitting the ball. Now, as I mentioned, in those opening few holes, I think I was kind of playing too much golf swing because I'm trying mechanically to change a few things in my swing at the moment, and this is more of my older swing, because I've just basically decided that it's time to play some golf rather than concentrate too much in terms of technique. Having said that, from 111 yards here with a pitching wedge now, and the reason I'm taking a pitching wedge is red flag at the front, and this green has got a false front, so you don't want to be short. I want to be centre of the green realistically, so I've taken an extra club. It is slightly uphill as well from here. So as you can see, I did manage to get it past the flag, and in reality it probably was a gap wedge, but I just wanted that extra bit of security in terms of distance into this flag. It's not too bad a lag putt, again still trying to work out pace on the greens. And that one slides by, so it's going to be another bogey on the card, and that's going to take us to 10 over as we go through the front 9. Now obviously that's why I'm not showing you the front 9, because it's not the greatest, especially when you're trying to break 80. We're already at 43 at the turn, and we're going to need something big heading back, but it's not out of the question. We've certainly had good scores before, and hopefully we'll have another one here. Heading down the par 4 10th, which is 300 yards, and there's a sort of ridge line there that divides the fairway just ahead of the green. It's a little bit misty here on this day, so obviously that shows up on the camera, and again, driver's not been fantastic today because of what I've been working on. And as you can see, I'm kind of just heading back into my old push fade drive, but at the end of the day, it's a workable drive. I know how to use it, and that's the reason why I decided to move back to it. Now we've got approximately 80 yards here into a back flag, so I've got my 56-degree wedge in hand. I'm going straight at it because it's a pretty central in terms of the width of the green flag, and you'll see how good that one was. Wedge play is not a problem for me, if I'm being perfectly honest. It is one of the better parts of my game. Always has been. Short game is probably where I pick up the most of my strokes. And just to bear in mind, as this birdie putt goes down, my handicap when I first started doing these course vlogs, and realistically when I first started playing golf again, was 25.3. I'm now at 10.5, so big jump in terms of the ability that's at hand, but I've still got a long way to go. Honestly, I feel like there's still a huge amount of potential left in there as we head into the first par 5 on the course, playing from the yellow tees, which is just around the 500 yard mark. Again, we're going to obviously be hitting the driver. Put up there where the centre line is. Big slope from right to left, as you can probably tell from the camera angle, so anything out right realistically is where we would be liking to send this, and it really does suit that sort of push fade that I've played for a very long time. And this was actually quite a decent drive in terms of distance, or at least for me anyway, and certainly because you can see how uphill it is. So another 7 wood in. Club of choice realistically for anything over 200 yards, due to the way that my bag is made up. And as you can tell, I absolutely creamed that 7 wood, and we're just short here of the green. Just walking up just to try and find a landing spot. These chips, as I've already mentioned, short game is kind of where I make up plenty of shots, and now just assessing sort of how I think it's going to move when it gets onto the green. You can see how far below my feet the ball is though, so that's obviously going to have an impact as well. Landed it pretty much where I wanted to, and as you could see there, it did snake its way past the hole, lipped out. It was never going to go in at that speed, but certainly a good look at it nonetheless. And here we are with another birdie putt from close range, so we can't be displeased with our performance so far in terms of the short game, because as I mentioned, that is kind of where the strokes in my game are made up. You just can tell I'm just cleaning off the ball because a lot of muck getting on it on these greens because of that treatment that's been put on there. Just going through the routine. Balls are all triple tracked up, so trying to get the right alignment. Now, I have changed my putting strokes since this particular round as well, so a lot of work I'm trying to put in at the moment to make improvements. But there we go, back-to-back birdies. Always lovely to see that on the card. Wry smile as we head off the green and looking at the next par 5, which is the next hole, sorry, which is a par 5 again, 500 yards, and again elevation plays into the tee shot, which this Google Earth sort of flyover doesn't really show too well, but it gives you an idea of how the hole looks at least. So we're looking over the top of those bunkers is the ideal line, and again push fade, probably more of a slice if anything because of the way the trajectory of that drive, but we'll take it nonetheless. It has ended up out on the right hand side here, and we're in the next fairway across, which is hole 7. So we are a little bit astray, but to be perfectly honest, at least we didn't miss left. Left is kind of dead on that hole, so we've got 252 according to my watch to the pin, and once again we got the 7 wood out, looking to try to make up the yardage. We already know that we're not going to make it to the green from there, but try and get it down there as far as possible, and leave ourselves with a wedge in hand in order that we can try to get ourselves in a good position. And it's exactly what we've done. Wedge in hand again, 56 degree. Right at it. Fuck off. Fuck off. I think it went in. It's hit the flag anyway. So yeah, you obviously heard it. Hit the flag. Oh yeah, and sorry about the language there. Should we put the Benny Hill theme music over the top of that? And this is for a first. I have never done this before, so not only new for me whilst I'm filming, but obviously new for me on the card in general. That's a turkey. 3 birdies on the bounce. Absolutely unbelievable. As we move into hole 13, 311 yards, par 4. Not the longest hole, but obviously it is a difficult one in terms of picking the direction that you're going to take towards the green. And that's because it's split by 2 fairways. Decided to hit the driver on this occasion. Again, using that fade to my advantage. We're down the right hand side into the fairway on the right hand side, and we've got 80 yards to the blue flag, which is at the back. Bit of a push, but we've gotten away with it. Now, I'm not sure the camera really shows the gradient on this particular green, so it is a downhill putt. You can probably see it as I'm walking across the putting surface. That's the one thing about cameras, they never really show the undulation in terms of greens, but nonetheless I think it's okay to be able to see how downhill that putt is. Chance at another birdie, and we gave it a run, but we knew early that that was going left of target. 4 in a row would have just been a bit too greedy, I think, but we get out here with a par, no harm done. 7 over par. Let's move on to the signature hole on Freshwater Bay, hole 14. And this is a par 3 downhill, 169 yards off the yellow tee from the card, but obviously downhill it plays a lot less than that, so hitting an 8 iron here into this green. I think the trace has shown it up to be long, but it's not. It's pin high, so happy that we've managed to get it to pin high. We are just off the green here, got a 56 degree wedge in hand. Pretty decent effort there, but left it below the hole, which is obviously something we really want to do, but a bit further out than we'd really ideally like. Especially for the par putt. You can actually see from this angle how high up the tee box is, so a long way down, and it is stroke index 18, believe it or not, this hole. Unlucky there with the putt, just left it a little bit short. In for a 4. It is another bogey on the card, and we've given one back to the course, but inevitability really. Par 3s tend to be my Achilles heel. Although I have improved on them since I filmed this video. So we've got a 9 wood going into this green today. 177 yards. Bit of a push to the right. We've ended up here just off the green to the right. Again, flag high, so really we can't complain. Little chip on. Fortunately, we carried that a little bit too far. And now we've got a long putt coming back around about 15 feet here to try and tidy things up for a par. Didn't quite break as much as we expected it to. It was downhill as well. And we tidy things out with another bogey. So Work to be done on par 3s, but as I mentioned, they're kind of what I've been working on as of late, and really starting to tidy those up on the card. And we'll move on to hole 16, which is a par 4 measuring 263 yards. The bailout is the left hand side. The field down the right is OB, so obviously you don't want to hit it down there. And for somebody with a fade, not ideal, especially if the wind is off the left. This hole can play very differently depending on the wind conditions. So we've managed to push it up over onto the left hand fairway, which has got quite a steep angle to it, and it's come down off the bank and left us with a pitch shot here into a tricky pin, because as you can probably tell, there's a Mackenzie on this green and quite a steep one, so you need to get it onto the top tier here with this shot, which is what we manage, and unfortunately can't quite pull it up quick enough, so we're just on the back edge of the green. Does give us another birdie up though, so not really something you can be disappointed with. Decent enough putt, just not quite got the speed for it. Has just left us though with a little tap in. Always enjoy this tapping for par. And we get out of here and move on to hole 17. Hole 17 is a par 3, 143 yards, but plays more like about 175, 180. Very much uphill. Got a 7 iron here and flared it out to the right. Not my greatest shot. And a nice chip here onto the green. It's at the flag. Just not really got the distance on it. Once again, another par 3, and we are scrambling big time for a par. Another decent putt, but we'd left ourselves with far too much to do heading into that putt, and we will just tap this in, finish it off for a 4 and get ourselves out of here with another bogey. Right, last hole, hole 18, par 4, 410 yards. A relatively easy hole if the wind conditions are in your favour. A very difficult hole if they're not, especially with the way that I push things right. And that certainly was a push right. I'm glad there wasn't any wind off the left on this particular occasion, because that would have been dead and OB. But fortunately for us, we're here in the rough. We've got 11 wood in hand, and it's just a little persuader basically towards the green. Fortunately, that persuader has seen us off the back edge, right on the back edge of the green, and we're going to chip this one. 56-degree wedge. Just caught the downslope and got it to pin high, virtually just past pin high. Left ourselves with a chance for par. We put it away for the par, and really that was a round of 2 halves. We've come in on level par for the back 9. Can't be displeased with that at all, to be perfectly honest, because having got to hole 8 already in the position we were in, the round looked as if it was over, especially for somebody that's playing off of a 10 handicap, because you've basically used up all your shots already. And at that point just decided to switch things on and recovered the round quite well. Obviously the birdies really did help us out, there's no two ways about that, but I think just staying in it, and I think that's a thing to take away from this video, is that a round is never over. You need to take each shot as its individual thing, whether it's a good one or a bad one, it's just one shot. I think often we get ourselves mired in connecting shots together and thinking about holes as being bad rather than just the individual shot in that particular hole. And that's partly where I've started to try to make improvements in my own game of late, alongside things like using mindfulness whilst out on the course to stop myself getting into stressful situations. I've tried to improve and create a more robust pre-shot routine, and I think that has really helped in as much as that I now focus on that more than the shot itself. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to smash that like button. Let me know it down in the comment section below if the Google Earth flyovers are handy in terms of explaining the holes. Hopefully I'll get to replace them with some drone flyovers at some point. But in the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.